morning, everyone. Good morning. Welcome. Today we are very glad. This weekend, yesterday, was the Wesak, the celebration of the birth, enlightenment, and the death of the Buddha. So it's like the greatest celebration in Buddhist countries. So it's really beautiful. The most important thing is that we are going to celebrate him or celebrate the teaching by learning about ourselves and trying to apply in our lives, which I think is happening for many of us. We are very, very happy to see the developments in many of us in the group. Most of the people is experiencing positive changes, and that's why we set up to share and explore together, because we were already benefited by almost 2 decades by the teaching. So now happening here in our city with our family and friends, it is really a blessing for all of us. So today is a good day. Let's celebrate the best way, exploring about the true nature of reality. So let's start thanking the teachers as we normally do. We recite Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Sama Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Sama Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Sama Sambuddhassa. Homage to the sublime, the victorious, the totally self-enlightened one. Victorious over all ignorance, all negativity of the mind. He was able to do it, and he left the map for us to follow, so we can also arrive to the same point.
Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
Good to see you all. And so today we are going to continue with the Abhidhamma, Chetasikas, and wholesome mental factors with the unwholesome occasionals. So last time we have seen all the actors of the unwholesome group.
Of the human drama.
Yes. So we have seen the universals, and we have seen Loba group, greed group last week, and so today we're going to go to the dosa group.
Anger group.
Anger group. So in the dosa group, anger group, of course, we have dosa, aversion, and then we have isa, envy and jealousy, and we have macharia, stinginess, and kupucha, remorse.
Stinginess
so
being codicia. I don't give you the number.
So these are the four mental factors of the dosa group, and so we'll go one by one now. So of course, dosa is in the dosa group is always present. Whenever there is a dosa rooted consciousness, there will always be dosa. There will always be aversion, and sometimes it could be with isa, with envy or jealousy. It could be with stinginess, or it could be remorse, depending on occasion. So they are not always there, depending on the situation. So sometimes yes, sometimes no. So let's go to dosa. As we have seen already before, when we've seen the hatred-rooted consciousness, dosa can be include from the subtle form to its gross form. Then all kind of aversion is included inside dosa. Say for example, dislike or boredom, uneasiness, annoyance, something that is not so strong, but it's already dosa. Irritation, resentment, disgust, repulsion, hostility, detestation, fear, hatred, anger, ferocity, and rage. So from here, from a little bit dislike or a little bit, I prefer not, a little bit, to ferocity or rage. So from subtle to gross, all are included in the dosa family, as we have seen already before.
We cannot underestimate any. Generally, here is where we fail to recognize, because dislike is like, of course, I like something and I don't like something. But when we see some food and we choose one, generally we dislike something about the other one. Or sometimes, have you noticed yourself entering a room and you see someone there and the mind just say, just a little bit, oh, it didn't say even a word, but it just said, oh, something like that. Dosa is already on. And if we don't take care of this small dosa, the dislike, or even boredom, we kind of take a look at boredom like, oh, it's normal, I'm bored. Or if we see a child bored, we give a toy, we give the phone something, oh, please don't be bored. But actually, this boredom is already dislike for what is happening. So if we don't take care, problems arise. And dosa has the same nature of the fire. The fire that starts with a match can lit up the whole mountain or the whole forest, one single match. So we cannot underestimate the nature of fire. And it starts generally very small, and there is where we need to be, because the small fire is very easy to turn it off, just finish. But once it's already there or more, it starts to get in trouble. We are in trouble. Unfortunately, our alarm of fire starts somewhere there. When we recognize we're angry, when we are already angry. So all the little details that happened before are being passing unnoticed. So troubles and more troubles.
So yes, so as Bante said, fire is fire. Whether it is big or small, it is dangerous. So if we don't take care in this stage, then soon it will become like this and then become like that. And when we are not aware, then the whole house is being burned, and even worse than the whole forest. And at this point, basically there is not much to do. And it's very difficult to control it in this time because it's already such a big fire. So that's why our teacher always reminds us, he reminds us, he said that mindfulness, awareness is all the time, especially when we are okay, when we are feeling good. Otherwise, we all always think that, oh, now I'm feeling so bad, then I need mindfulness. Well, that's when then we already hear that when we
it's
know.
like throwing water to the la primavera.
So it's like
nothing.
we want mindfulness to be something magical to cure, to cure us, when we are here. But that's a little bit impossible. So our teacher said mindfulness is always. So if you are always, when we are good, when we are okay, then we know that we are okay. So whenever this happens, then we already catch it because there is mindfulness, so we already know. So we don't allow it to become not even here, because if we already notice here, then we already blow it off
very easily.
Here, very easily. So it won't even arrive to this point. But if we are here and then we think, oh, now I need to practice, but it is already totally on
Buddha,
fire.
where are you?
Totally on fire.
Totally gone.
It will be so difficult, and also at this point, because anger and dosa is so strong, that the mind is not easy to detach from what is happening, and so it won't be easy to watch. So our teacher said it is important to be ready all the time. So whenever little defilements enter, we already know. So it is from here that we have to take care. Otherwise, just already we see.
And it's good that we will study all the different manifestations of anger, so we can know where it can. We know how it manifests in which moment. So you can see it. It's the same.
Yes.
Boredom leads to frustration. Frustration gives to irritation. Irritation to anger. Anger to madness. So then madness, when we are in these last three, all the troubles, all the bad words come out, all the mistakes, the worst mistakes we have committed in our life, I think we can attribute them to anger. The worst things we have ever said in our lives were when we were angry or with ego. But ego is not harsh. Dosa is harsh. And you can see the Buddha enlist. I don't think we will go to that part today, but the Buddha gave the list of things that dosa burn. So the first thing that dosa burn is our physical beauty. Even the most beautiful model, when she is angry, or he is angry, immediately, and we can see on this little girl, it seems that she's quite cute when she's not angry, but look at the face. It's like it reminds a little bit like Chucky, no Chucky. Like what is it? Anger. The first thing that it burns is our physical appearance, gladdening appearance.
Sadness too is part of
Sadness sadness is also from dosa. Sadness do not like something that happened. For example, my pet died. I wish that didn't happen. So then the mind, instead of exploding, it implodes and is burning in slow fire. So sadness, we cannot underestimate it. Depression is the family of dosa. So often when we see someone sad, we come and pity them. Oh, pobrecito, oh, and like this. And actually we are kind of blowing onto the fire because it's already on. So what we need to do with a person that is sad or depressed is with a very mature sensation say, come, stand up, come up. I am here and I will help you, but don't stay there. Because the more you stay there, the more the fire will grow, and eventually you can even be consumed by it. The energy of depressed people is consumed. They can literally not stand up from their bed, and eventually the lostness, I don't know how to say, the sensation of feeling lost inside, not seeing anything inspiring outside, can lead to suicide. So eventually, yes, dosa burns the individual who is sustaining it. So we should be very careful to treat sadness and depression in ourselves and in others as something that needs to go out as soon as possible, so it makes less damage.
Okay, so sometimes we think that this little bit of aversion or something that I don't like, they are quite harmless, no? They are quite harmless at this point, like the little match. But if we don't take care of it, it will grow.
Escalate.
It will grow, and if our teacher said, see, from 0, it can go to 1,000,000 quite quickly. So if it is 0 and then 1 and then 2 and then 3, and if we don't do something about it and put this 3 into 0 again, then it will accumulate. It can be something very little, not significant, not important, but many little things. If we accumulate it, then it will explode soon. So we have to take care since all the time. Mindfulness is all the time. So okay, so let's see the 4 devices as always. The characteristic, function, manifestation, and proximate cause of aversion and dosa. So its characteristic is ferocity. The Buddha explained that the characteristic of dosa is like cobra or a snake being bitten. So he is very angry and he is ready to bite. So this is how anger is, how dosa is dangerous, very dangerous. So its function is to spread and to burn up its own support, as Bante just said right now. To spread in the sense of, let's say, dosa is poison. So if you put poison into the water, it will spread all over. It will spread to everywhere.
It will poison the mind, it will poison the environment around the angry people, and it can inspire the others to connect to that, and then conflict, fight and killing.
Yes.
Very dangerous.
So dosa's function is to spread over, like spread everywhere, or to burn up its own support, like the piece of log is supporting the fire, but the fire is actually burning and is consuming it. So the fire inside is consuming us, ourselves, which is supporting the anger.
A person who constantly gets angry dies sooner, unavoidably. Heat decomposes matter. If we leave food outside the fridge, it will get rotten. That's why we put it onto the fridge. So as anger actually heats up the body. So if we get angry, we are getting older sooner. And you can see even in the wrinkles, the skin gets drier, and we can literally die from literally die from anger. So this part for me is always shocking, to see the function of anger is to destroy the very thing that is supporting it. So in this case, when we get angry, it's us. It is.
Yes. So its manifestation is afflicting with suffering. So it manifests as, how do we know that there is dosa when there is like this feeling of affliction with suffering? Its dosa is manifest in this way, and its proximate cause is a ground for annoyance. This ground for annoyance, we have seen it in the hatred-rooted consciousness, but we'll repeat it a little bit because it's really important. A ground for annoyance means that why do we get angry? We get angry because, the Buddha explained, because we think that he has done me harm, he is doing me harm, or he will do me harm. So whenever we think somebody else he has done harm to me before, or he is at the moment doing me harm, or he will do me harm in the future. If we have this kind of thoughts, then anger will arise. Or if we think he has done, he is doing, and he will do harm to one that is dear and pleasant to me. Or that means that he is doing harm to someone that I like. So anger can also arise in this case. Or he has done, he is doing, and he will do good to one that is not dear and not pleasant to me.
He's
So
doing
he's
good
doing
to my
good to
enemy.
someone that I don't like.
Yeah, yeah.
So also the mind can get angry in this case. So these are the ground for annoyance, ground for
Very
anger that the Buddha explained. And also there is another one, which is, does hatred arise, or hatred arise unreasonably? This kind of, you have a reason, even if it could be real or it could be imaginary, but anyway, there is a reason. And sometimes we get angry without a reason, without reasonable reason. Say for example, have you ever get angry because it's too hot? Or we get angry because it's too cold, or because the bus is not coming. So actually, hot is hot, the weather is hot, and it's just nature, and cold is also cold. But we get angry because it is hot. So these are the ones that our teacher called, it is groundless anger. It is unreasonable anger, anger without reason. Say for example, sometimes have you ever get angry? I did. Then when you walk somewhere and then you kick on something, and then you get angry because you kick on a brick or the table. No, you kick on, like that you get angry. Yes, well the table has been there all the time. So
Poor table doesn't move from
it
place.
doesn't do anything. So
Just have
if I hit it and I get angry, so this is kind of unreasonable anger. So it is also possible.
How many times have we got angry with ourselves, and we are just inside burning with ourselves, and just remorse and guilt and thing, and just rolling, when it is time of sleeping, for example, before going to bed, and we are rolling. All this is imaginary, and our teacher says it's a little bit strong, but they say that this is one, unreasonable, but it shows a high degree of immaturity. Because how can we get angry because there is heat? I mean, it's like getting angry with the cosmos. We cannot change it. So it all depends on a change of attitude and a degree of maturity and wisdom. That's why we need to start looking seriously at all these groundless places where anger is popping up, check really into our daily lives, and start curing all these fugas, how we say? Leaks, all these leaks will start. Okay, I'm getting angry because it is unbelievable. Recently we had a family, we were invited to a family, there was something not moving, so we were invited kind of like a referee, like when we start looking at the end, it wasn't the family thing, it was unbelievable the causes that was generating the anger. In that case was the garden. Some people wanted to keep this plant here, but the other one wanted to keep it right here, because there was a little bit more light coming there, and there was coming. We were started checking, and then at the end, we kind of put the facts. What kind of things were making the conflict? It was laughable. It was to give a little bit of shame. And actually, it is not the thing that we are fighting for. We are fighting for the reason. I am right. So actually what we are defending is something that we consider dearer to us, which is our own ego. I am right. So it doesn't matter the thing, but just the power fight, isn't it? So we need to be careful, because ego will always be together. I am defending something. That something is the dearest to me, which is I. Wow.
Yeah.
Madness, and we are all in it.
As we are looking at Abhidhamma in microscopic, so we have to understand that dosa and ditthi, or attachment to ideas, does not come together, because they are different kinds of consciousness. Yes, but because the mental process goes so quickly, so in this process, because I have this kind of idea, that's why I get angry in the next process, but not in the same moment, not in the same chitta. But it's so fast, then we think that everything happens together at the same time, but actually it happens in different moments, but so quick, and then one support the other. No?
We can simplify suffering, and the Buddha actually gave a very beautiful, very useful teaching. The Buddha says, actually, we can suffer only for two things. And then when I heard it for the first time, I said, teacher, I have suffered for thousands and millions of things. How come I just suffer for two things? And he said, yes, you can put them in two families only. Get this one, open the treasure box, it comes. He says, a human only gets angry because he must be together with the unpleasant, or he is separated from the pleasant. Check that one. Only two reasons for suffering to arise. Either we are forced or must be together with the unpleasant, what we don't like, or we are either separated from what we like. And when you look at all the moments when we have suffered, it's because of that. It can be a thing, it can be a person, it can be a business, it can be an idea, it can be a place, whatever it is. But generally, so all these details that we're looking with microscope, eventually, when we start making the puzzle together, we can simplify a lot, and we can see that every time that suffering happens, it's only because of two things. So we can start just dealing with the likings and disliking, dosa and loba, loba, dosa, and it gets simpler and simpler.
Okay, so let's continue. Then dosa, since we have looked a lot of dosa,
Before, I would like to clarify the idea of DT involved in this, because DT gives you the wrong view. So the people that gets angry with God mixed up both things.
Yes, in different process,
Different
mental process, because DT, because loba group and dosa group, and these mental factors, they cannot associate with each other in the same chitta.
Oh, I see.
Yes, so it's in different mental process. In the first process, he might have DT loba group. He's attached to his idea. Then later, in another mental process,
He gets angry with that idea. So it's
DT is attachment?
DT is wrong view.
wrong view, ignorance.
Under seeing impermanence as permanence, seeing non-beautiful as beautiful, seeing no soul, non-soul as I or as
soul, something has and actually emotions can change a lot. There is an example I like very so much. So let's say there is a little puppy comes and you say, "Ay, qué bonito! Look at the puppy." You come like this, so much love are coming, and then suddenly and then So you can see in 1 second loving, and then fear, and then aggression. Immediately, the mind can change unbelievably fast. So we can have desire, attachment to an idea, and then get angry with that idea in the next moment. The mind is 9 billion units of consciousness per second we are experiencing right now. Even if we are apparently not changing much of mood, except now that I'm talking, I'm saying the story. So the mind can change unbelievably fast with the same object. The same object, the same being was love and desire of touching it. Then fear arises from him, and then anger in the matter of a second, in a split of a second. So
in different chittas,
different units of consciousness.
Yes, so let's go to Isa, envy and jealousy. So Isa, envy and jealous, is actually the feeling of intolerance of the success or good news of other people.
Especially if we don't like that person. Especially.
So it is not being able to support or not being able to accept the success or the good thing that is happening to another person. So why him, not me? So that's Isa, envy and jealousy.
Now the question is, why do you think envy is in the family of anger? Brainstorm. Why do you think envy and jealousy is in the family of anger? Why
Because of what it generates inside of ourselves. It's the same burning.
It's projecting.
This
You are
return is aversion.
Yes, you are angry. What else?
It is like
dislike.
we are the person that is jealous is angry that the
About
other
the
person,
other person
is
good.
being promoted or being given a gift, and why not me? Or if I is my enemy, worst. Worst is like.
Yes, this is in the dosa group because we cannot accept, we don't like, we cannot accept
The well-being
the
of
well-being
others.
of other people.
So you can see how how you say that, how low quality this is. We cannot, we don't even can it be able to be neutral about it. We are angry because of the well-being of others, because of the fortune, because of the knowledge, because of the beauty, because of the whatever. Imagine how low we can fall out. And I suppose, and I confess, I think we have, in any moment in our lives, we have experienced this. My friends, when we experience this, we are in the lowest neighborhoods of our mental possibilities. It is very cheap, and we must do something about it if it still goes on.
Let's see some images that we found on the internet.
Oh, that one is great.
That's
Small
Happens
and
to
big.
all ages.
wow. That one's scary.
Yes, so envy and jealousy is actually exact opposite of mudita, which is
Sympathetic joy.
sympathetic joy, like being happy about the success or about the well-being of the others. Yeah, so let's see the 4 devices. So envy and jealousy is the jealous of others' success. So its characteristic, its function is to be dissatisfied with the other's success. So it's not satisfied. And it manifests as the aversion, or an angry aversion towards the success of the other. And the proximate cause is very obviously the other people's success. So that are the characteristic, function, manifestation, proximate cause of envy.
I will put another proximate cause, which we can say is Facebook, for example. You have it there, and then one person posts
not
something,
really, but-
and then the other one, "Ay." Then I go and take a trip in order to take the photo, check. Then immediately, yes, here it is. And then the race is like, who takes breakfast in the best place? Who goes to the best place? Escalating. And Isa happily living in Facebook is like his emporium. It's like, yes, keep rolling, my friends, keep rolling. So it is happening in very common, very how you say, like everyday moments. The seeds are planting, but
Yeah.
remember, if we plant the seed and if there is fertile soil, the plant will grow and problems will come.
Yes, well, what Bante is saying, it's very common and it usually happens, but it is not all the time because it depends on the attitude of the person. If the person is wise, he might generate a sympathetic joy about people like, so good that he went there and all this and that. So it depends on the individual, depends on his attitude, depends on his wisdom. Most of the time, if we don't have wisdom, then we fall onto Isa or jealousy, but if the attitude, so it does not depend on Facebook. Depends on our attitude. But Facebook is something that can trigger.
Sharon, you say if the person is white, and I will say if the
If
person is white,
he's not on
he
Facebook.
will delete the Facebook app. If the person is white, he will delete the Facebook link. So he will at least not waste time.
Yes, that might be agreeable.
Yeah.
Okay,
The
so
person is
let's
white will delete the
continue.
account.
Excuse
Okay.
me.
Yes,
Excuse me.
yes.
I would like to know why in most of the jealousness of people there is too much fantasy.
Fantasy.
Yeah, people mix all kinds of stories and TV novels in their minds.
You remember that for all the negative mental states, a universal is ignorance, moha, you remember?
Yes.
Moha is the one that is doing all these
It's
fantasies.
moha.
So actually it's not dosa. Dosa is angry. Moha suggests, oh, look, maybe he's thinking that about you. That's what
Because
dosa,
he
moha
thinks
does.
good as bad,
it's
bad
good
as
as bad, bad
good,
as good.
he makes up all
And
the
then
stories.
anger listens to that and immediately believes on it. Yes, you're right. Okay, let's fight. Boom. Then he fights. So actually, moha, ignorance, being universal of the negativity of the mind, is the one making all this fantasy, because moha, it is his magic. It is the spell of ignorance that makes us see good in bad, bad in good, flip things, make stories, make drama. And there is one thing that we haven't explored, which is called papancha. The very, imagine the word, it's called papancha.
It's nice word,
Papancha
but nice
is
word.
composed of three things: Tana, Mana, and Diti. Imagine. So, sensual desire, ego, and wrong and ignorance. Imagine this cocktail. So, papancha means the thing that makes all the stories. Like whenever our mind says, pero la próxima vez que lo vea, le voy a decir esto, esto, esto. Es papancha the whole thing. So for us, joking, when we learned in 2008 about papancha, whenever we find ourselves making story, we used to say papancha cha 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 cha. The story, whenever papancha arrives, Tana, Man, and Diti, the movie, we believe, and we are, of course, we are the main character, isn't it? And all the people is enemies, foes, and friends, and alliances, and we will take a look later. But it's actually Tana, Mana, Diti, and Papan cha cha cha. So that used to for us to cut it. Okay, I'm on the movie again. No. Reality. No movie.
Wow.
But that's the one that makes the real problem. We will see later.
Papancha.
Papancha.
I like the
And the
word.
word is.
I have an earworm now.
Yes,
Earworm.
it is.
Okay, so let's continue with the dosa group. Now we have macheria, stinginess. Now stinginess is actually unwilling to share. So whatever one have, one is not willing to share with others. So let's see the 4 devices first. Its characteristic is the concealing of one's own success when it has been or can be obtained. We don't even have it yet. But if it could be, or it could be mine, I don't want the others to see it. So it's concealing, it's intolerance to share
No,
with
concealing
others.
is to hide.
Yes, I mean, but it is the intolerance of wanting to share, that's why you hide it. You
Yes.
don't want the other to see it.
It's like
Because you don't want to share.
it's like you have an ice cream like this, eating. ¿Qué tienes? Nada. ¿Dónde? ¿Cuál? ¿No?
Porque no quiero compartir, esa es la codicia.
O
Yes.
esa parte sí que.
Yes, okay. So its function is to not bear sharing this with others, not bear sharing what one have with others. And its manifestation is the shrinking away or backing up from sharing, and as meanness or sour feeling. Now that's the manifestation
Very low.
of stinginess. And its proximate cause, now this time is one's own success or one's own property, whatever one have, it's not being able to share. So sometimes, okay, so that's the 4 devices. So sometimes we may think, if we don't want to share, then it must be loba, because we have the greed and attachment to our own thing, that's why we want to share. Yes, of course, loba
We
is in
don't
the
want to.
background.
We don't want to share.
Yeah, we don't want to share, but here it is in the dosa group, the aversion group, because one is not willing or is having aversion or is cannot tolerate of sharing. So that's why this mental factor is in the dosa group, is in the aversion group.
Our teacher gave a little bit more painful, I mean, it's not to looking at the painful, but it's, we cannot tolerate that somebody else experience the benefits of what I feel my own. So it is anger. I don't want someone else. It is very, very low, very cheap. Oh.
So
Oh,
we
look
have
at that, and then someone else arises, you see? It's
he
like,
becomes happy of not sharing. Okay, so there are some other images that we found that.
It's for both of you to share.
To share.
Hey, it's for both of you to share.
No.
real reality.
Every day.
So,
So it happens with children, but it also happens with
so one question. Do you think these children know how to speak already?
Yeah.
Yes, of
Yeah.
course.
Do you
4
re-
years old, I
Do
think.
you recognize how
Yeah.
the
it's
mind went into nya nya nya
Yeah.
nya nya nya? That is what happens to us when we are having this kind of berrinche, how you say, a tantrum. We are throwing a tantrum. Immediately, the mind goes to the most unmature self. It's not a self, but a mature neighborhood, and we suddenly forget to even stop. But this thing can be, remember, it can be a house, it can be a car, it can be a wife or a husband, it can be a
Anything
negocio,
that you can
anything can be. And we, my dear friends, unfortunately, are not totally cured from this thing. These seeds are still in our minds. So, ay, mama. Wars happen because of that. It's the same. Nya nya, mine, no, mine, yes, boom, push.
My
But
oil.
also not,
Huh?
not sharing.
My oil. This is my oil. This is my river. This is my place. Your tree is throwing leaves on
into
my
my
garden. Oh man.
Well, okay, so let's take a little bit more look into this. And in the commentaries, there it describes 5 kinds of macheria, 5 kinds of unwilling to share or stinginess. Of course, there are much more, but let's say, for example, one of them are the dwelling place. So I think this is my place, and I don't want to share with anybody. So, or this is my room. Do not disturb from outside. No, or this is my place. Or so this dwelling place is one. And another one is family and friends. So this is my friend, I don't want him to or her to go with anybody else. And this is my family. So this kind of stinginess or unwilling to share also happens. And
My
sometimes
husband, my
it
wife.
could be also supporters, students. Yeah, this is my student, you don't go with other teachers, so also it can happen. It can happen. And so this is another kind. And another kind is of course property. Whatever we have, then we not willing to share with others. And it could also be beauty. Let's say I want to be the one that I'm beautiful. I don't want the others. Any other people cannot be beautiful. Don't want them
Kills
to be
Snow
beautiful.
White.
And or to be famous. I want to be the only one that I'm famous and not other people. So also this kind also is considered. And another one is knowledge. So how many secret recipes are there? Like
Copyright.
this recipe is my family recipe and cannot tell you, no? So it happens about knowledge, of not willing to share about knowledge. And also even for the Dhamma, for the Buddha's teaching that I want to be the only one that knows, that I don't want to tell to the others, and so I'm the only one, no? So all kinds of these 5 kinds of macheria are mentioned. So dwelling place, friends, family, and supporters, and beauty, famous, and success, and wealth, and knowledge, properties and knowledge. So it could be these 5 kinds of macheria can happen.
So
But now-
everything actually.
Yes, but now the thing is, let's contemplate a little bit. If this is what I consider me, is actually only matter and a mental process. It's a process of material quality happening and passing away, and a stream of chittas, a mental process arising and passing away, arising and passing away. Even if this that I consider mine is not mine actually. So what to say about a house or food or knowledge or clothing? So what could be mine if the I do not even exist?
And these, all the things are changing. We cannot really control them, and they will unavoidably disappear. So if this body will stay in this planet when we die, imagine all the things. It's totally madness kind of.
If this does not decay or disappear, we will anyway. So at the end, there is nothing that we can take away. So why not share before we leave? Okay, so there is a little video clip that is a little bit funny and not so funny, but I thought maybe we can take a look.
There is a saying in Germany that says, better give with one hand than with a cold hand.
Yes.
Oh.
Very good one.
With a warm hand than with a cold hand.
Oh, that's nice.
Yes. Well, with the cold hand cannot give any more actually. It's being given.
It is forced. Forced given. Okay.
So let's see a little bit this video clip.
Yes.
Where did you get that one?
Life is short.
Muy bueno.
Well, this was just kind of like funny and not so funny, but there is something which is more serious. That Nina van Gorkum, she said, human life is so short and we waste many opportunities for kusala because of our stinginess.
Kusala means noble.
Or
the good,
wholesome,
or
wholesome
wholesome.
deed.
Because
We
it's
waste
stinginess?
Codicia.
Yes. So Nina van Gorkum, she is a Dutch lady that she spent a lot of
Very
time in Thailand because her husband was a diplomat in Thailand, and then so when they went to live in Thailand, and she started studying Buddhism because she was interested in the Thai culture in the beginning. Then she started studying, and then and she really liked it, and then she studied Abhidhamma, and she wrote many books and articles. And I think I sent to you in the beginning some books that she wrote, which is very nice. And also she tries to apply the knowledge into daily life. So her writings is very nice because it reflects also, like say for example, she talks about the mental factors, and then she reflects in daily life, like how we are doing and all these things. So those books are recommended.
Recommended by
So she said that human life is so short and we waste many opportunities. There are many opportunities
To
for
do
us to do
good.
good, to do wholesome, to plant good seeds, but we don't do it because of our stinginess, because we cannot share, because we not willing or
willing to
share.
share.
So, well, life is short, so let's make use of the opportunities.
On the other hand, the Buddha always exalted the benefits of practicing generosity in any way. So actually it cultivates the opposite. These kind of emotions or mental ingredients, more technically speaking, brings us low, and it's easy to know to go out from there because we just need to cultivate the opposite. In the case of jealousy, we rejoice on the happiness and the well-being of others, or start trying practicing, and then starting to practice more generosity, being in a material way or a intellectual way, or just help, energy, empathy. It will start naturally bringing the mind to the opposite and cultivate the highest. So it's quite simple. Nature, it's quite simple in the structure. Fire is overcome by water, and the opposite, the contrast.
Maybe to clarify for myself,
Yes.
with my own attachment to my idea of that I don't have anything that is mine. It's not my property, not even myself, my body, because it's not mine. Then it is attachment what gives you stinginess.
Yes.
Yes.
So
Definitely.
so truly we don't have anything.
It is borrowed. We have it temporarily.
It's
It's
borrowed.
not that we
Everything.
don't have it, but
responsible
it is
to
borrowed.
take care
So
of
every
it.
time I say it's me, it's I, every time that I use my ego words,
Yes.
those are
DT.
stinging.
It's
No,
yeah.
those are
Not-
DT.
Is DT?
Wrong view, yes. Because we say, we can think of it as borrowed, like if this planet is a hotel. So everything we arrive, we can use everything,
not our-
but for maximum eight decades. So as long as we know that it is just borrowed, and we will not defend something. If they steal something from the hotel, we will go to the counter and say, something disappeared in the hotel. We won't fight for it because we know it's just borrowed. In the same way, yes, we can say this is my house, this is my car and thing, but keep always the idea that it will stay just for a little while, as I can use, make the best use of it, and then whenever it's time to
Check
relinquish it, check out, you just go, sign up, and then you don't want to bring the bed with you. It is just okay, it's gone, and the body is gone, and the relations are gone, and that will, the more we keep this knowledge or wisdom, we can say, in the head, it will be easier, because we will be using the things that our own actions, previous actions provide in the best way for the benefit of everyone. Okay, let's share. Anyway, yours is borrowed, mine is borrowed. Here it is. Let's do good for ourselves, and then check out. Okay, later something else will come, and actually it might come even better because of our ability to share and do good with the things that were borrowed for 10 decades, if we wish. It will be just. So that is the call. The Buddha says, you don't need to reject life. Use the thing, but for the well-being of common well-being, and knowing that it is there is no soul, there is no possession. Imagine no possessions. I wonder if you can. He says no. So let's try.
Yes, Alex.
And the kind of more we accumulate, the heavier we get. You know, like the more we accumulate
Yes.
in life, the heavier we get.
The more we need to take care of. Yeah.
Yeah, and everything could be like a situation for trouble. If we have more and we want to keep like an eye on everything, and something's missing and we cannot hold on everything we have, it gets painful at some point.
That's
because
point.
we get heavier. It's like carrying like a big shell or something.
Yes.
But it also depends on how you treat it, no?
Yes, yes,
You
the
can have a
attitude.
lot or very little, but it's more in what you.
Yeah, sometimes you may have very little. You remember the story of the lady of the ring, but you can have very little and very attached to very little, and sometimes the attachment might be greater than having a lot. Yes.
Mhm.
Yes. Yes, and also
It is a
of
matter
course,
of attitude.
of course, the Buddha is not saying that because you remember there's ultimate reality and there's conventional reality, no? So we lived in the conventional reality, but we have to
Samsara?
understand.
So it's conventional
no.
reality.
No, samsara
No.
contains both.
Uh-huh.
It's
So
two. Samsara is ultimate reality and conceptual reality inside. Like,
Okay.
So conceptual reality is this is I, this is me, my name is this and that, and this is my mother, this is my father. Sure, no, like conventional. But at the end, it's just material quality and mind process, and so those are ultimate reality. But we live with conventional material reality as well. Say for example, we call this a house. We cannot call it a pile of
bricks.
particles. Like I
Mhm.
live in a pile of particles. Well, I also don't. A pile of particles live in a pile of particles or something like that. No? So those are ultimate reality and conventional reality. So the Buddha is saying that we need to understand that in ultimate sense, where we does not exist, things also does not belong to us. But in conventional sense, we do have to take care of our parents. I said, no, I don't take care of my parents. It's just a
They're just
particles. I don't have no
particles.
responsibility. No, so not like that, because we have our responsibility. We have to take care of our parents, our teachers, and whatever we need to do. And also the Buddha don't say that you have nothing and so go live in the street. No, also not like that. But we have to have our basic. We have to have
Balance.
food, have place to live, have the basic that we need in order to have peace of mind so that we can practice. Because if we don't have nothing, and also we are worried that tomorrow am I going to eat, I have no money to pay my rent and this, and so we'll have no peace of mind in order to practice. So that's also not the way. So we must understand and then have a balance. But you as you said, we might have whatever we might have. Without attachment, that's the thing, no? It's not
attachment
what
is
you
the
have,
problem,
it's
not
the
the thing.
attachment
Thing.
to
Yeah.
what one
And just to add something, let's keep in mind that the Buddha in his teaching, whenever someone wanted to practice full
Yes,
time,
in this case, yes.
he requested for that person, in this case monks, to
Breathe.
release as much as
everything,
possible,
and
because
then
he said
yes.
yes. He said there is one time when I was deciding, should I become a monk, should I continue practicing as a layperson, should I become a monk, layperson like this. We went to a retreat in Thailand, and then there was a teacher, and I said, oh, I felt confidence with this teacher, and I made the question, teacher, can I talk to you? Yes, come in. And then I go with him and says, teacher, what is the difference between practicing Buddhism, practicing the Buddha's teaching as a layperson or as a monk? And then he gave me, imagine this, I will give you one example. Imagine if the Dhamma, the spiritual path, was a 100-meter race. Imagine this. It is not by any means it's a race, but imagine we have two contestants. On the left row, we have a person, a lay person, carrying a house, carrying a family, carrying a job, carrying a mortgage, carrying all this. And on the other hand, we have a monk, only carrying 2 ropes of this, his bowl, and he's ready.
Okay.
On your marks, get set. And he says, who do you, he told me very clearly, they have to run the same 100 meters, exactly the same 100 meters. No difference for the monk, no difference for the layperson. Who do you think is going to arrive first? And I say, sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Nothing else to say. So he said, that's the only difference. If you're a layperson carrying many things, you must do the same thing to purify your mind. You must do the same things to go out of these ingredients. But if you have a business, if you have a family, if you have more possessions, these ingredients are more likely to arise. Because I have more things to take care, I have more things to be jealous about, I have more things to, etc., etc. So ultimately the Buddha requires frugality. The monk should try, okay, now from now on you won't have, for example, in the morning, ¿qué me voy a poner? Y está, and when you're a monk, it actually is easier. You just have the other one, the one that is clean. You just smell it. Okay, this is the clean. You put it same. And then another thing, you have to. How should I make my hair? This way, this way, this way. Okay, monk.
No way.
No way. You just so that moment you don't take care. So actually simplify. The simpler, the simpler.
But that's also the purpose of the monastery, no?
Yes, frugality. The less you carry, the faster you will arrive because you are carrying less.
Yes.
So
the more one has, the more worries. Like Alex said, for example, if I have a car, now I'm worried. I have to put gasoline, I have to pay insurance, and I have to do this.
I hope they don't steal it.
If somebody doesn't steal it or whatever, if I don't have, then I don't worry about it.
And more things we have to be identified with, like for example, if I have a career, I'm very successful in a profession, I have like many kids or like a family.
Yeah.
All these situations are like these images that I have of my own self, and things that I cannot drop so easily to detach from myself, because all those things at some point reinforcing my ego in a way.
Yeah. So the lighter, the easier.
Okay.
And there is another simile that the teachers give is like a hot air balloon. The more you release the sandbags, the higher you get. Simple. The same happens in spirituality. The more we release, but there is a possibility of releasing, even having the things. But we must by ourselves establish a balance.
Release the attachment.
Release the attachment. The thing is not the problem. The attachment and these negative mental states that pollute our mind are the problem. These are the enemies, not the thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yo toda mi vida he sido, y siempre usaba este vocabulario, mi hijo, mi casa, mi carro, o sea, así crecí, mi.
Which is conceptual, yeah.
Sí, pero me doy cuenta y trabajo con esto, que en la medida en que dejo de usar el mi, mucho más ligero.
Our teacher says that when the mind thinks, it's talking. We generally, when the mind is thinking, it's saying things, it's saying words. So if we change the way we speak, we change the way we think. So if we start saying, instead of saying, mi control, ¿dónde está mi control? It is, ¿dónde está el control? So if we change, it's not mine, it is just él o el coche. ¿Dónde quedó el coche? ¿Dónde está mi coche? Immediately the mind relates to possession and relates to future trouble, unavoidably. So yes, our teachers, the teacher of our teacher, he was famous for finding always the elegance, not to be able to communicate without using I, me, and mind. He was famous, and our teacher says, I don't know how he found this elegance, that he was always able to communicate deeply without using these 3 words, and his mind was free, because what we think, we become. So
But-
it is
Yeah.
serious. It is serious. And
Yeah.
changing the way we speak is like putting our mind in slow motion, because we think much faster than talking. So we are able to change here. Where is the thing? Where is such and such?
Yes. So well, this is important also, because as we said, like how we think, how we speak, but also sometimes for convenience sake, we also need to use these terms. So our teacher also says that you use it understanding that it is not.
To realities.
But you use it, but you understand that it is not.
Okay.
So
If
it's
there is
more
a
important.
situation that you
You
let's say,
must.
need to,
You need to use,
the word,
yeah, because
but it's
otherwise
not.
I'm so attached to myself, but I don't use the word self, I use something else, but it's the same. So, if I feel the same way, so it's the same, so it's like understanding that it is not, it's
Two realities.
important to change it.
Conventional and wisdom, knowing that it is
Yeah.
not. It is more than that. So we just know it at the same time, even we need to use it. Okay.
Okay, so let's continue with the last ingredient, last mental factor of the dosa group, kukucha, remorse. Now, remorse, the Buddha explained that we can only be, there can only be remorse in two situations, only two, as
Only.
simple as that. Those that are about unwholesome deeds that we have done, then we can be remorsed about it. It can be physical, verbal, or mental actions, previous actions,
Wrong actions.
unwholesome actions that we have done, and that can be a cause for remorse, or wholesome actions that we have not done. So there can be only two situations that there can be remorse. Unwholesome that we have done, and wholesome that we have not done. So in these two cases only can remorse arise.
Guilt,
Now,
remorse.
let's see the four devices, and it will be quite clear. So its characteristic is subsequent regret. So I regret that I did something, or I didn't do something good. I did something bad, I didn't do something good. And its function is sorrow over what has and what has not been done. So one is sad about, so that's why dosa group, one is like sad and not happy about what has or what has not been done. So it is manifestation as aversion towards that. And its proximate cause is obviously what has or what has not been done. The thing that make remorse.
Now the question is, my dear family, why is remorse on the anger family?
Because of what happened inside of us, like learning.
It's not accepting something.
Not accepting something. So actually, the teacher says that when we feel remorse or guilt, or which in our culture unfortunately is praised, kind of is considered often as a virtue. If you are remorseful or you have guilt about what you did wrong, actually our teachers explain that the Buddha, it's not that the Buddha put it here, the nature is we get angry with ourselves. We are punishing ourselves. I am bad monk, or not good monk because I didn't do the thing, or whatever we consider ourselves. We get angry and we try to literally, in our culture exists that we punish ourselves for doing bad or not doing the right thing. That's why it is on the anger family. And the teacher says, look, if remorse was good, but it is generating more anger, it will just pile up the negativity that we did. So actually, definitely, according to the nature of mental ingredients, remorse or guilt can never be considered good. So we must be very careful, because we will just add more negativity to the negativity that is already there. So we won't be cured. The mind will just sink deeper and deeper and deeper in negativity. So our teachers, especially for Western-minded people, they give this warning, or not warning, this information very seriously. Be very careful.
And Catholicism as well, no?
Catholicism is one of the traits.
Culpa.
Guilt and
It's a concept that is very.
yes, it is kind of
Very
repentance,
present, no?
repentance or something like that.
Yesterday that we were watching last week class, there was some phrase that you mentioned that we stick on us, and I think it was really beautiful, because we were talking about how dealing with samsara is always suffering, and but if we reject that suffering it creates much more suffering.
Yes.
Basically, that's,
Yes, yes.
and you express it very briefly and very concisely as well. Like this idea about remorse could be talking about what you mentioned last class. It's like you can tell to the suffering, okay, you can stay, but help me.
Yeah, stay as a tool.
Yes, stay as a tool. So if we feel remorse about something, it could be just a trigger about like, okay,
Don't do that again.
I have, yeah, there's, it's an advice or
Alarm.
For
an
wisdom
alarm.
to appear.
Yeah,
Okay.
for wisdom
this-
to appear and to get rid of the like
the
self
flagellation. Flagellation, how do you say that?
and just kind of change the attitude towards the problem that causes that
Yes.
remorse.
Yeah, use it as an alarm.
Yeah.
If we suffer, oh, the mind is on the negative side of it. I'm suffering already, so use it as a tool to.
But don't let it continue.
Don't let it
Yeah.
continue and move. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, it could happen because of habit or because of many conditions that we could feel regret or remorse.
Just
But
cultural
when we,
conditioning.
but when we recognize it, then we need to know that this is again akusala, this is again dosa. So we are actually planting more negative in that moment. So we should not do that. But teacher says forget about the story, but don't forget about the lesson.
Mhm.
So what you learn from that experience, and that we should keep it.
Cherish.
But
cherish.
that guilt and saying we should not keep it. Yeah. So okay, now he's coming, Venerable Nandisena. Selo Nandisena. He said something also very nice about remorse. So that's it is also connected. That's why we come here. He says, regrets about wrong actions of the past will not drive out your worries. Guilt or remorse will not release you from the painful consequences. So whatever is done is done. Even you are regret about it, it won't make you.
The seed is planted.
It won't make us free from those consequences that when the plant comes out. No. The correct way to overcome remorse is to avoid doing wrong action again, making a firm resolution to refrain from unwholesome akusala action.
Mhm.
If the unwholesome actions are not too serious, one might escape from their bad results by the virtue of restraint from doing that again, as taught by the Buddha in the Mahavaga Samyutta. This escape actually, when we get enlightened, then yes, then it is no more life, so no more conditions for these bad actions to give result. But here it is by the virtues of restraint from doing that. So if I don't do that bad anymore, so I do a lot of good instead. So there are more possibility of good to give result than the bad to give result if I have more good seeds. No, let's say Bante always use this as example. If we have a lucky draw. And then inside is like 100 of white balls and 100 of black balls, then well, it is 50-50, no? Then one can come out, one can the other. But if I have 50 black balls, and I cannot take it out from the lucky draw, of course, but I put another 1,000 white balls in it, then there are more possibilities that the white ball can come out. It does not mean that black cannot, because there are always possibility, because it's already done and it is there, but there are much more possibility for whites. So the only thing that we can do is plant a lot of good seeds, so there are more possibility of good to come, and so that means that it does not mean that it is being cancelled, no? Unless we get enlightened. Okay, so even when one understands later that one has not done meritorious deed, one should not regret, because it is never too late. So we haven't do it, but now we can do it. So
Very
we
beautiful.
don't need to regret. So
Sadhu,
Shalom and Sena.
sadhu, sadhu.
Okay, so that's about Kukucha, remorse. And now we finished with the dosa group. And we still have time, so let's go to the last three, the other group, and hopefully we'll finish with all the akusala today. Now, the other three, last three ingredients in the unwholesome mental factors are tina, laziness, mira, torpor, and vichikicha, which is doubt.
Torpor meaning
Like,
sleepiness,
yeah,
heaviness.
slot and torpor, we should be slot and torpor. So now let's go to Tina Mida. And Tina and Mida, they comes together. They are best friends, so they always come together. Laziness and torpor, they always come together. And it is mental heaviness and lack of enthusiasm.
Lack of enthusiasm, that's really beautiful.
It's like,
Very enthusiastic, very lazily enthusiastic.
yes. So Tina and Mida is sometimes described as the sickness of Tina as the sickness of Chitta,
Of the mind.
and Topper, Mida as the sickness of the ingredients of mental factors. So Chitta and Chittasika, they always come together, consciousness and mental factors. So it is like it's sick. So when there is Tina Mida, so the
So
mind and consciousness is separate.
From now on, my dear family, whenever we feel laziness and torpor, heaviness, we can start thinking, at this moment, the mind is sick. It is really dangerous because laziness and torpor, or pesadez, is the best conditions for ignorance to arise. Of course, the mind is not aware, the mind is not
It
on.
is already with
So
ignorance.
ignorance is, best playground for ignorance. So we can start looking at it and really shake up. And if we have responsibility of a child or something, in the most elegant way, try for the kids not to value laziness. Not just because they don't do something, but because they are allowing the conditions for the mind to go down. So more akusala will come. From laziness, if you... Raúl, I remember, this is really a true story. Raúl, Raúl, limpia tu cuarto. Mama, dosa, ne? So from laziness, immediately dosa arises, isn't it? Dosa already, because it's already Raulito, and already the thing. I think we can all relate to that thing.
But it's different of what when you are really tired because you have been working.
Yes, that
It
one.
is different.
It's different, so it's important to recognize.
That
It is
one-
mental, no?
It's
This is
mental.
mental laziness and mental tiredness.
The
And
body is
if-
full up.
Yeah, if the body,
Apatía.
if it is very
Apatía.
tired, if it is very tired, then one should rest, of course, then it is different. Then that is not unwholesome.
Yes.
The problem,
Right.
the other problem, there is another problem when we work a lot in the day, and there is a very dangerous thought. It happened to us when we were working as a layperson. We had a good day, we made a good business, or something happened that day, and then suddenly the mind says, "Oh, today I did good. I deserve anything I wish." So you open the have you felt that? You open the fridge. It's late. You are tired already, and what the body and the mind needs is to rest. But then
What
Loba,
the mind is Haagen-Dazs.
I need Haagen-Dazs, and then you go to the shop, and then sometimes you might get a Danesa 33, but that day especially you say, no, today I deserve Haagen-Dazs. So then you go get a Haagen-Dazs, and then gula starts to come, and then the next thing is you go, because I work a lot, the body is tired, the mind is tired, and then you go and turn on the TV and get onto YouTube, and then just click, eating, and then this thing is very, and then clicking, the mind comes to a moment when it is 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, the mind cannot move anymore because I arrive already tired, and the desire and dukkha, pure dukkha, like because unsatisfactoriness keeps us thinking, and then anger starts arising. Because, like Mike Jagger says, I can get no satisfaction. We are there, and then the mind falls down and down and down. And the best thing teacher says, if you recognize that you did good, the first thing you need to do is go rest tomorrow. If you wish, you can celebrate. But when the mind, don't allow these two guys to take over as a celebration. My dear family, to make our mind sick is not to celebrate. So this happens, I confess, it happens very often, and we need to be very careful about. The teachers warn a lot about this. I deserve. And who is saying that? Ego. Loba is saying that, and the mind will, without no one taking, no portero, without how we say?
Goalkeeper.
With a goalkeeper in the mind, goals from Loba and Dosa will be coming in, and next day, the mind very tired, the mind feels no sense of life, and all the celebration gone forever, and the bad news is that the mind is in lower quality. So need to Very good. Does anyone here happen something similar from time to time? I don't think so. I don't think. I'm just saying. Never know. Anyone? So yeah. So please forgive me. Please
Not just
forgive me.
having that with like alcohol or
Yes, of course.
like
Yeah,
that's
legally.
like the bad thing.
Yes. So watch out with Loba because it is. Now another thing that the teacher says: negativity of the mind is always searching. The negativity of the mind always wants to fight the mind when it is weak. Remember that. There is no better position to attack the enemy, which
It's
is
easy.
wisdom, is the easiest way. And now we are weak. Here comes. Loba is like, you will pay. So dangerous.
Yes, and yeah.
Hmm?
See?
The origin, the cause, the motivation to feel like that, is it sadness? Is it lack of motivation of life? I don't see any sense of life. What is the real cause of having that kind of mental heaviness or lack of enthusiasm? What is the reason? I mean, I don't get it.
Well, Tinamida, as you see, that it's also from subtle to gross, no? Like the one that you said that like there is no meaning, and I feel like that is possible, but it is more like the more stronger manifestation. But it can be very subtle. I just like my bed. I'm just lazy staying because it is comfortable, not because I don't see any sense of life, but because the bed is comfortable and I feel good and not doing anything or something. No, so whatever it can be, but it is also unwholesome mental states. There is moha. Moha is always together with any kind of unwholesome states. So whenever the mind is not being active, it's not being determined or with other stronger mental factors, then this also can happen.
In short, we can say ignorance again, and we can say lack of wisdom and spiritual urgency. Wisdom allows us to keep in mind that life is short. I can die tomorrow. The mind is not yet ready to having a wholesome mental state to be able to die elegantly. So whenever we just remember that life is short and I might die today or tomorrow, immediately this kind of spiritual wisdom, urgency comes up and says, I cannot be wasting myself just clicking on the phone in the bed like something like that, because there are many good things to do, and we recognize that the mind is polluted, and if we die with the mind that we are carrying right now, it won't give a good destination. So one of the antidotes is Yoniso Manasikara, which is wise attention. So if we are wise, definitely I cannot say that a lazy person or a heaviness of the mind person can think about the reality of life. It just wants to enjoy staying here. But when you recognize, oh, samsara is not a nice destination, I haven't finished and there is many things to do, immediately this wisdom or this spiritual urgency comes. So one of the antidotes can be Marana Anusati, which is remembering that everything is gonna change and I may die today. So am I ready to live? Am I ready? And immediately the mind, and then starts doing the right thing. So again, mostly desire, because laziness is at some degree pleasurable because we are not exerting energy, but we are just going down. So laziness, desire, and ignorance again and again and again is the yes.
El triple veneno.
Yeah,
¿En qué sentido dicen?
Loba, dosa, and moha.
Sí.
They are always
The three
together.
bad
Ignorancia,
roots.
apego y
Yeah.
The three
depresión.
bad roots.
The three bad roots always there.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, when your mind is already, like for example, when you're sick, it's obviously that your mind is weaker, and I feel it like right now.
Yes.
It's totally weaker than
Uh-huh.
before. What can you do in that moment?
Teacher says something very beautiful. You want to know? The teacher says, you know, even if you are healthy, you should practice as a sick person. The first time we heard, what, teacher? When we are sick, actually, I feel it a very auspicious, very good moment for practice, because the mind has less energy and the ego has less opportunity to be, well, hey, let's do this, let's do that. So the mind is weaker. So teacher also says that he likes when he's sick, physically sick, because the mind loses a little bit of energy, and all the picos, how you say, all the spikes of the mind are down. The ones that cause trouble for oneself and others are down. So actually we can fall onto this kind of mental state where there is not so much energy, like excitement or something. The mind is weak, But then there is a kind of, if we fall to that moment, a kind of inner silence, because the mind has no energy to be shouting. So then we can fall on it, and teacher says, practice like a sick person. Imagine, so you bring this awareness inside, and of course, take care of the body.
Okay.
Take care as much as you need of rest, take care as much as medicine, good food that you need, and then, because the mind is a little bit less spiky, gratitude arises. You can contemplate on the benefit of being healthy that often goes unnoticed, isn't it? Now I'm sick, so I can recognize how valuable health is. So there are many possibilities actually, and it is a reminder, oh, this is impermanent. Life is moving, I'm getting older, and sickness and death, old age is normal. So there are many possibilities actually in this position to do.
And also, as when we are not sick, let's say when we are not sick, then the mind sometimes when we want to practice, then we put a lot of energy, too much energy. I will practice, I will do this, and sometimes it's too much energy. So we are getting too much involved into the process of I'm trying to be mindful. No, I'm trying to do this, I'm trying to do that. But the teacher says when one is sick, like a bodily sick, so one have no much energy, so you don't want to do so many things, and that's just good. Just know. You just have to know what is happening. You don't have to do too much. So he said that in those moments when one is sick, that not so wanting to do so much, then that is just good enough energy. That if you know, if you notice, then what the mind is doing. So just watch without doing too much.
If we are not aversive or angry that we are sick, sickness can bring a lot of equanimity because of the lack of energy, and we can flow. Personally, when I get temperature, I feel very good possibilities for practice because the body is like this, and there is a deeper listening. So, congratulations.
Okay, so let's continue here. Tina and Mida was just some
Loba cannot even be still. Loba. Oh. That one is dangerous. That one is the dangerous one. The one that is like this with the remote control. Oh man, that makes a mess.
I think this also happens when you have something to do, like write a report or write something, an examine, or you have to practice for something, and so you laziness comes and I will start tomorrow.
Yes, that comes out of aversion. Yes. You don't want to do something, so you let's do something else. No. And then you feel again, let's go this way, like this. Yesterday I felt that. Yes.
See if I can be clear, but after a good amount of dosa, afterwards these two guys can come, right? Because it's tiring.
Dosa is very tiring, yeah.
So
Anger.
this is the next stage, maybe. It could be.
Yeah, depends on situation. Could be.
Stage.
Yeah, depends on
We can say that after anger and Tina Mida arises, Akusala is winning the battle. So very dangerous.
Okay.
It
then
already-
what about dosa came because of trying too hard to practice?
Yeah.
So now you gotta relax. You gotta slow down. And then this is coming on. Now
If
it's
there
kind of
is-
laziness
if-
and apathy, and it's like
It is apathy inside. There is still dosa in, because if not, you just need to rest. But let's
resting too much, because now, like, I'm talking about me and what I told
Yes.
you a few weeks before. Now this is the stage, like. It's
And
like,
Apathy.
Is there any
yeah.
is there any mindfulness, or do you
Yes,
know?
I can. Yes.
If
Now
you
I
know,
can
then
notice.
that's okay.
Yeah.
Yes, if you know, it's okay, because sati is a beautiful mental
mindfulness?
state. So mindfulness sati, it only associates with kusala, and this is akusala. So if you know, so it's going back and forth. So there are some ingredients of tinamida, for example, but there is also sati. So the mind is not only with this. So if you know, then it's okay. And if it is like this, then this moment is okay. You don't have to change it, but you have to notice it.
Just keep aware, and necessary to rest, but do not allow negativity to be resting. We can let neutrality or wisdom rest. But if we allow resting with negativity, then it's these ones. So just be careful that there is no those whatever, I don't do nothing. So that one is dangerous. As long as that one is not there, and now something to remind, if we practice too much and we develop aversion from it, let's never forget that we practice too much because of desire. Desire is the real problem maker. I want, I don't get, then I get angry. Then I get angry, then I get tired, Tinamida comes after. So they have a succession. The one we need to take care is desire, is the first one who started the fire. Or expectation. That one is the real one. The problem is not anger, it's not getting what I want. So means desire. That is the real guy.
Yes. Teachers always says that there are only Loba, Dosa and Moha can make us tired. Wisdom and awareness cannot make us tired.
Metta, loving kindness can never make us tired.
Practicing in the correct way will not make us tired. So if we are practicing and something, so we get tired, so we have to be alert, alarm, something's wrong.
Something's wrong.
Then maybe the Loba has already come into the practice. I want something from the practice, or Dosa has already come in. I don't like what I'm observing, or whatever it may be. So it is the practice is being contaminated at some point. So
Regarding the resting, entertainment is
dangerous.
like any kind of it, or
as long as if from entertainment desire arise or attachment, it will be dangerous. If there is something that is kind of neutral or just to learn, for example, if you get entertainment from a documentary, the mind is continuing trying to understand reality, it's fine, but it's
the word entertainment itself is Loba.
Dangerous territory. The word was it?
Entertainment itself is Loba group, I think.
It's lower group. So just we can do it, no problem, but as long as our enemies are desire and attachment. If it is not coming in, but desire and attachment can disguise, use a lot of mask. So still keep an eye.
Yes, but don't worry that it is not that we cannot do anything anymore, but we can do, and at the same time be aware, observe, and try to learn, like in this case, what the mind does and what it wants, why, and so observe in different ways in order to grow in wisdom. So we don't have to always, our teacher, Seattle Tejaniya, he always says that we don't have to let go of anything. We don't have to let go of anything. The one who let goes is wisdom. So our only responsibility is to cultivate wisdom. When there is enough wisdom, then wisdom will let go whatever he thinks that it is not necessary. So it is not our job. We don't need to try to do that because it's fake.
Yeah.
And then we will make ourselves angry. I don't do this, I don't do that, but actually I want to. So it makes a more snowball.
So cultivate wisdom and
then
at
wisdom
least
will
the
let go
attachment
by
comes by
itself.
itself.
Yes.
Wisdom will choose, or this is not
It's not necessary.
it's not necessary. So wisdom will say,
Yes. No, I don't even feel like I want to because
So,
wisdom don't.
our job is to cultivate wisdom,
Wisdom.
not to let go of anything. Otherwise, we're pushing too much, and then anger
Yes.
arises on this. So
Same
that one
for my
is
friend
very,
also
very.
same.
Let wisdom choose.
Yeah, wisdom will do
Feel
the job.
wisdom.
We just have to cultivate wisdom. Yes.
Laziness is related with irresponsibilities, which means that you do not continue to doing what you have to do and you must do. So
According
maybe
to
I'm not
what?
laying down, but I'm not doing my homework. I'm not doing my
no.
job. I'm
Not
not
all the
continuing what I have to supposed to do and do my things, my important things. But I'm lazy.
But not all the time, because now we are looking, remember again, we have to go back to the microscope. We are looking at mental ingredients that can associate with many things. So it is sometimes if it is pure tinamida, then it could be like laziness, or it can manifest in that way. But this mental factor can also associate with loba. Also possible. So say for example, when the mind is not thinking about wanting something, let's say, but a friend say, hey, why don't we go get some ice cream, or why don't we go get some stuff? So it is being prompted, remember the prompted and unprompted chittas that we have seen already? So those those prompted, sometimes it's with tinamida, because one is not deciding by oneself, one is being encouraged by somebody else. So that mind is not so active, wanting, but this can also associate with loba great-rooted consciousness, also possible. So there are many different kinds of manifestation and different kind of possibilities. So it's not only when it is totally lazy, so it can be the combinations. In chapter 3 we will see the associations and we'll become more.
Soon, next chapter we will see.
Yes. Tina is lack of driving power, quite obvious. And its function is to dispel energy or effort, so no effort, nothing, no energy. Then its manifestation is the sinking of the mind. Mind is like being heavy, sinking. And its proximate cause is unwise attention to boredom or drowsiness. So we pay too much attention to the drowsiness or to boredom. So that's Tina, and let's see Mida. Mida basically is quite similar. Characteristic of Mida is unworldliness, so it's not flexible, not being flexible. And its function is to suffocate. It's like cannot breathe properly. So manifestation is the dropping, nodding, and sleepiness. And proximate cause is the same as unwise attention to boredom and drowsiness.
So you can see boredom. It's dosa group, and it's the beginning of it. We are bored. We don't like what we are experiencing. So that means desire wants something else. So boredom starts, and then negativity, and then later on the door is open. Dinamida.
So.
How? Those are right. Those are already.
So very tired.
Now those are, you see.
Tipo, no durmió bien.
You see?
Dosa, se enoja.
From Dinamida, dosa arises. Have you been on the couch and you know you must go to your bed and you have to still brush the teeth and then you're like this, and or your mother tells you go to your bed? Oh, have you felt that? Anybody? Like anger immediately comes because it's already on the neighborhood.
¿Por qué me despertaste?
Oh, pobrecito.
Also in animals it could
Animals as well.
So, well, anyway, the examples that the teachers give, the Tinamida is like a wither plant. So the mind state when we have, when we have Tinamida is like
the mind está marchita.
withering. Okay, so and also Tinamida, as we have seen, that it is one of the 5 hindrances that that is the obstacles
for the mind to be developed to its highest potential.
The five opposites to the 5 spiritual faculties, no? The 5 indriyas and 5 hindrances, one of the 5 hindrances. And its opposite, when we look at when we saw the jhana factors, remember? So vitaka and vichara, when the mind is actively doing something, so vitaka vichara is the opposite of tinamida.
Do you want to know the antidote to tina and mida?
Yes.
Unbelievably, curiosity. If a mind don't want to know anything, it falls asleep. The mind wants to generally eat something. So our teacher says, you are there, just remember Carl Sagan, remember the facts of the universe. How big is the galaxy? How many beings are there? How many species are there? Immediately when curiosity arises, that's why our teacher says, develop curiosity, because have you seen a curious people that is sleeping?
No.
Impossible. A child that is curious is what? It's totally the opposite. Antidote, my dear friends, couldn't be more beautiful than childish curiosity. Beautiful. That's why our teachers, especially Sayadaw Tajaniya, praise so much when a person wants to know. Because if a person wants to know, the door for wisdom is open. So wisdom will arise and forget about it.
Yes. Teacher says sometimes when people sit in meditation, then he becomes gets sleepy, no? Then in those moments when he gets sleepy, and he said, ask the mind, why is it sleepy?
Why is it sleepy? Boom.
So he's not sleepy anymore because now he's investigating about
Why
how
is it
sleepiness,
sleepy?
why is it sleepy, how sleepiness feels like, and what does the mind do when it is sleepy, or how does the body feel. So that bring curiosity, bring question, bring investigation. Then the mind
Make
is,
questions
is not
to the
sleepy
mind.
anymore.
Hey, the mind is sleepy. Make a question. Hey,
What is sleepiness?
what is happening
How
at
is
this present moment? And then starts waking up from that. Couldn't be more beautiful. So my dear family, never grow adult. Let's keep always a childish mind, and that's one of the traits that we can see in all our teachers. You can see it on the Dalai Lama very famously. He's like a grown-up child, but that curiosity always keeps the mind open for wisdom. Is the best conditions and couldn't be a greater gift from nature. Just keep childishly, wisely childish. So that will be the antidote to
Okay, we have a few minutes, but I would like to finish with Chiquicha because it is only the one last mental factor of the unwholesome group. So next week
everybody,
we'll
okay,
go
okay,
with the
okay,
wholesome.
okay. Let's breathe in,
Okay.
breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. Oh, keep it, we can do it, my friends, we can do it.
So it's brief, so it's brief. Okay, so let's go with Chiquicha to finish with. So in Wichikicha we saw it in Moha Mula Chitta, remember, and delusion-rooted consciousness that are associated with Wichikicha. So it is indecision, puzzled, hesitation, uncertain, wavering, because of its inability to comprehend. So when there is doubt, the mind cannot understand. It cannot
Decide.
think, it cannot decide properly, so there is doubt. Okay, so let's see the meaning, literal meaning of the word in Pali, Wichikicha. We is well, there are two explanations. The first one is we is no. Chikicha is remedy or curing. So no remedy or no curing for understanding. So when there is doubt, there is no wisdom, there is no knowledge. So there is like sometimes we say it like there is no medicine or no remedy for wisdom to arise when there is doubt. Okay, so there is one meaning.
Doubt or not believing is
Doubt.
the same.
Not the same.
Disbelief or doubt is a duda or incredulidad, different. They are kind of, there is still mental obscurity in both, but they are different.
Because doubt is cegado también a la curiosidad. Tengo duda, tengo curiosidad.
But that
You
is
have
not
interest,
called
that's
doubt.
possible.
That's not called
Investigar.
doubt.
Yeah, this is the kind of duda. Should I do this? Should I do that? And you see the face.
Indecisión.
Indecision is like,
Desidia.
which one? I don't know. That one. This is the negative, the low
Actually.
one. The other one is what can I know? But
This-
you are open. If you get result or not, you don't suffer. It's just okay. I didn't understand. I need to research more. And the other one is already in the uneasiness, feel unpleasant.
Exacto, tiene
This-
un componente diferente.
It's
This doubt.
okay.
Yes.
I don't
And
know what to
also-
do. Lack of information. Yes.
And this doubt is specifically about spiritual doubt. Let's say about whether Nibbana exists or not, whether the teacher, what the Buddha said is real or not, and whether I have the ability to meditate or not, whether I can achieve this or not.
So
And
not about
this
practical life,
no,
about
yes,
spirituality.
not about whether I should
The
get
deepest.
chocolate ice cream or strawberry ice cream.
Okay.
That's
So
slogan.
not that kind of doubt,
okay.
but this kind of doubt, more deeper doubt about whether really exists a state where there is no more love,
No more suffering.
no more suffering, or no more greed, no more hatred, and no more ignorance. Is it maybe possible or not possible? Like this kind of doubt.
That is the heaviest one, because if we don't believe there is a possibility for freedom of suffering, we won't move. That's why the teachers, that doubt is the most expensive, because that will keep you rolling and rolling life after life in samsara. Then it's like,
Like doubting if there's a good outcome from doing good.
Yes, exactly.
Deep.
Doubting,
Like
or
doubting
karma,
the
about
opposite,
karma,
yeah.
no?
doubting about
whether
the law of karma.
yes, law of karma. Whether if I do good, really good will come, or if I do bad, really maybe bad won't come, or whatever. This kind of doubt.
Now, on worldly terms, Sadhu Tajaniya gives a very beautiful advice, because many lay people visit him to learn how to meditate, and many of these people have a company, have a job or something, and often is faced with a situation that needs to take a decision, this or that. So often people ask, when I don't know what is the best course for my business or something like this, what to do. And amazingly, he says that the first thing we must do is gather enough information of the pro and the cons. Couldn't be more simple. So you say, for example, I want to buy that car. If I have limited information about it, I just like it, but I didn't open the hood and check the state of the motor, I may make a bad purchase decision because I didn't know. So the very thing that one must do is check really honestly, because often he says that our own enemy is our wish. I wish this is the right situation because there is some liking about that, or that it would benefit someone that I like. But if we don't look at the facts, crudamente, how you say, rawly, like really raw at the facts and accept, these are the pros of this position and the cons of this position, these are the pros of this condition, of this position, this possibility, and the cons, then later on when we are humble enough and objective enough to see the things, he said that doubt has no space because you already know what will be the best outcome. So information and research will be...
That's not that easy, because you cannot foresee. You see the facts, but you actually don't know. If it's a new car on the market, you don't know how it will perform in 1 year or 2 years.
Yes.
Because it's new. Maybe there are some bugs. So you don't know.
Yes, it's just
that we will leave it to the law of karma as much as possible. The other thing will be understanding that we are still in samsara, so anything can go wrong. So we already know. So many degrees of wisdom. And the best one will be, try not to put yourself in that situation, then you will be totally free from doubt.
Yes, but what our teacher says is that sometimes we are in daily situations, not about this kind of doubt that we're talking about. In daily situations, we are doubtful or we don't know what to do because we don't have enough information. So what he said is, if you don't know what to do, don't do anything now. Get information, and then when you have enough information, then you decide whatever is the best, whatever possible, because there's nothing like best, not all the time. So whatever it can be for daily situations.
Remember the saying last week, sorry, Shanda, from Bertrand Russell, who says, never let yourself be diverted by what you wish to believe, but look only and solely at what are the facts. So our ideas must be put aside and just look really at the facts. Otherwise, confusion will come and all kinds of...
Yes. So again, coming back here, Wichikicha does not mean this kind of doubts. It does not mean about what I should buy or which way should go. So it is more about the law of karma, about the teachings, or doubting the possibility of oneself, or all these things. Yes. So wichi, and in another dissection of the word, it could mean, wichi means investigating, and kicha means getting tired. So that means when one has wichikicha, one thinks about something and cannot come to a conclusion and becomes tired and frustrated. So this is the literal meaning of wichikicha. One is no remedy or no possibility for wisdom to arise, and another one is getting tired about thinking and not getting a solution.
Ignorance, this is the playground, or another playground of ignorance. Ignorance like doubting, because it's a rain.
So as we see, the five, wichikicha is one of the 5 hindrances also, yes? So Tinamida also was, and wichikicha also was another 5 hindrances, which is detrimental to the meditation practice or any kind of spiritual practice. Because if we are doubting, if we don't know, if we don't think that we will be able to do it, or if we don't think that it is possible, or that it exists, this state of non-greed, non-hatred, and non-delusion, then it is not possible. One will not have the calmness or stability of mind to continue with the practice. So this doubt, wichikicha, is harmful in this case. That's why it is one of the 5 hindrances.
And doubt will be used by the negativity of the mind. Lobha, desire, we start practicing meditation and our mindfulness, and we start turning inside. Before lobha, it's our boss. Oh, do this, do that. Yes, yes, master. Yes, yes, yes. I eat this, I do this. But then when we stop and start looking at lobha, doubt is the first remedy. Lobha says, lobha don't want to be seen. So he starts saying, oh, hey, by the way, what kind of monk is this? No, I don't think you are fit for this. No, you're not good for meditations. They start making doubt. So be very aware that whenever we start practicing, the negativity of the mind, it doesn't want to be seen. It will start throwing. The first thing will be doubt. What kind of sect is this? Don't you think they are doing something bad about you? And then you will do something choo. So be very careful. And we know that it's a weapon. So when it comes, wait. Do not believe immediately and investigate further.
And why skepticism is a healthy skepticism is good. Even the Buddha praised it. Like we should not believe whatever anybody told us immediately. We should investigate. We should try it by ourselves, and then we can trust in what, have confidence in whatever it is. So this kind of doubt and that kind of healthy investigation is not the same. Yes. Okay. So this is unwholesome quality. So let's go finally to the 4 devices, and we are done with all the unwholesome mental factors. Characteristics: doubting, function to waver, make mind unstable, and it is manifested as indecisiveness and as taking various sides. So you cannot pick one. So it's various sides, and its proximate cause is unwise attention.
Yoniso Manasikara, the one we saw, Guillermo, before. Ayoniso Manasikara.
Okay, so that's about Wichikicha. So now we finished also with the last group, Tina, Mida, and Wichikicha, laziness, torpor, and doubt. And now, congratulations, we have finished all the 14 unwholesome mental factors. And so next week we will start with the beautiful mental factors.
Beautiful parts of the mind, gonna be very nice because it's our beautiful mental factors. The thing that is the opposite of all of this and how to cultivate it.
We can look at all this in ourselves.
Yes. Okay, so that's it for today. Any questions or any comments?
Can you just name the previous ones?
Yes. So this group is universal. So that means whenever there is an unwholesome mind, these 4 will always be there. Always be there. And then this one is sometimes depending on situation. Yes? So this is moha, delusion itself.
In English, not just English.
Hidden otapa, moral shamelessness. So we are not shameful about doing bad. And then moral fearlessness, meaning that we're not afraid of any consequences, whatever it might happen, be it karma or be it
law or something. We
whatever.
do bad without.
So we do bad. We're not afraid of doing bad in this moment. So these 2 is also always there when there is unwholesome mind, because at that moment we have lack of respect for oneself, lack of respect for others.
For the property of others or well-being of others. Yeah.
And udacha, restlessness, that is whenever there is unwholesome mind, then the mind is always agitated, restlessness. So for universal, all the time there. Then we have loba group, loba and greed and attachment, desire. Sometimes there, sometimes not, depends on what kind of consciousness. And then we have mana, which is like pride, conceit, pride and conceit, ego. Sorry, this is pride and conceit, ego, and this is DT, wrong view.
Yo vino.
Thinking what is not beautiful as beautiful, thinking what is not permanent as permanent, what is unsatisfactory as satisfactory. Wrong view of reality. Yes. Not understanding how reality works. And this is in loba group because he is attached to his own idea. So that's why it's in loba group.
And ego is attached about oneself.
And
we love ourselves. That's the meaning of ego.
And this 4 we saw it already today. And this 3. So that's
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So anything else? Yes.
If a person falls in love, it's only wish. If you mentioned that it's my wish just to love one person, and I don't know exactly who's that person. I don't have information.
You haven't checked the facts.
Exactly.
Whoa, that's dangerous.
That's very dangerous.
Very dangerous.
You should have doubts.
Yes, and you must make some good investigation because you're gonna spend your life with that person. So that's why it's kind of healthy to experiment with that person, living, traveling. You want to know somebody? ¿Quieres conocer a Andrés? Vive con él un mes. So the best thing is to experiment a little bit, although it goes against our cultural background, like how come you together? but it is better, Mama. I'm doing thoughtful investigation. So you need to see what it is and live, and better later on, once you know each other well and really see that the other person wish good for you and you wish good for the other person, especially in the spiritual side, beyond romance, beyond sexuality and all that, which will go away with age, or beauty, which will go away with age. Once you see somebody in that light, then commit to it. But it is already with facts. You know already how it looks, what things come out, and how they smell and everything. Then you are really, you say, yes, it doesn't matter. I love you still, my love, or something like that.
Yeah, but be aware also things can change.
Things can change.
Things will change.
Things change.
Will change.
Things will definitely change. Definitely change.
Yes. Okay, so
Never let yourself be diverted by what you wish to believe, but look only and solely at what are the facts.
at this moment.
Things can change.
And not the facts of 10
Because it
years
always
ago.
changes.
And include the law of karma and the samsara itself. So once you are safe, go on.
So let's close today here, and we finish, and next week we'll go to the beautiful Chapasikas.
Thank you.
Welcome, welcome.
Thank you.
So let's close, my dear family. May all these seeds fall into good ground and give many, many fruits for ourselves, our families, our society. May the seeds that arose today fall in good ground, so it gives strong plants with many, many fruits for our benefit, the benefit of our families, benefit of our people we work with, and all society at large, and with the intention that these fruits be the cause for the liberation of all suffering, be it physical or mental. We recite Itano punyam, Nibbana sa pacheyo hotu. Itano punyam, Nibbana sa pacheyo hotu. Itano punyam, Nibbana sa pacheyo hotu. With the intention that these fruits also benefit other beings, especially those who suffer more than us, which are millions and millions and millions. We are very fortunate. If we know someone who is having troubles in health or in mental stability, we can remember it at this moment. And we share the merits of this morning of cultivation and trying to cultivate wisdom. May the fruits of this wisdom benefit them as well. And we recite Idano punyam sabasatanam vajimam. Idano punyam sabasatanam vajimam. Idano punyam sabasatanam vajimam. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. We rejoice in the offering for the monastic order, and we recite Sanghasa, Dhamma, Nibbanasa, Pacheyo, Hotu. May this act of generosity shown to the Sangha be a source for the liberation of all suffering. Sadhu, sadhu. Okay, my dear family, see you next Sunday.